It's pretty incredible that we are never really taught how to deal with our emotions. We are taught so many things in life, but learning how to navigate the world of our emotions remains elusive. Little boys are taught not to cry, and little girls are told they're too emotional. And although the adults around us usually mean well, more often than not, they don't have the answers either. Trying to figure out how to deal with our emotions can feel like getting dropped off in the middle of the ocean without a life jacket. The words let go often bring up aversive feelings in people. The idea that letting go of something might actually help us in some way feels counterintuitive, more like giving up. Why would it be beneficial to surrender a negative emotion when what I'm feeling is valid and true? Emotional pain, much like physical pain, can feel unbearable and debilitating. Until we learn how to respond to emotional pain instead of reacting to it, we will continue to be at its mercy because reacting is unconscious, whereas responding is conscious. In this video, I'll be shedding light on the cyclical nature of emotional pain, why addressing emotional pain is so critical, how to have seniority over your emotions, and lastly, take you through a step-by-step process of how to effectively let go of negative emotions. Before we begin, if you find that this video is helpful, then please like and subscribe so this message can reach more people who might also benefit from watching. All resistance is suffering. People are so afraid of feeling their emotions. That's what most of us are actually afraid of. It's why everyone is seeking happiness. Everyone wants to feel good. But how many people actually allow themselves to feel all the higher emotions, like love, joy, and peace? It's really empowering when you realize that no one makes you feel a certain way. You decide what you feel. This is both liberating and scary because we are no longer the victim of other people's actions. But it also means that we need to take full responsibility for how we feel. We are the ones that block ourselves from reaching these higher emotional states that are the truth of what we are. If we want freedom and liberation, we simply have to let go of all the limiting blocks that prohibit us from being one with our true self. Resistance is usually looked at as pushing against an unwanted situation and wanting things to be different. But another way of looking at resistance is denying the beauty, power, wisdom, and love that is the truth of what you are. This is what I mean when at the end of each video I say, let go of trying to be anything other than the truth of what you are. You are the only thing blocking yourself from your greatness. I'll say that one more time. You are the only thing blocking yourself from your greatness. We do this by holding on to all the things that are not us, namely our ego. A new take on self-love. Every negative emotion you feel about someone else, you experience. Somehow we think that by blaming and projecting our feelings onto others, that it helps us get rid of them. But in fact, we're the recipients of that energy because we're harboring it inside of us. It's like the Buddhist teaching about anger. Anger is like holding onto a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one that gets burned. I remember years ago reflecting on what I thought it meant to love myself. My narrow understanding of self-love had to do with me thinking that I needed to rest more and make more time for doing the things I love. But the real paradigm shift happened for me when I realized that one of the most unloving things I can do to myself is hold on to negative emotions because I am the one who experiences all the awful things I'm feeling. I'm putting myself through hell. When we have respect for ourselves, then we make the choice to not treat ourselves unkindly. And that includes being willing to let go of the negative emotions that make us feel horrible. The only thing you gain by holding on to a negative emotion about someone else or yourself is that you get to be right. Freedom, happiness, being right. Pretty obvious choice if you ask me. Thoughts and emotions are just pictures. Being in a highly charged emotional state can impel us to act in a way that nothing else in our lives otherwise would, like staying in an abusive relationship, gambling away our life savings, or becoming an addict. When you can begin to have seniority over your emotions, then you can have mastery over your life. I can't tell you how liberating it is to let go of a negative emotion. It's why so many powerful healing techniques are rooted in forgiveness. Forgiveness is letting go. When you forgive someone, it isn't a pardon. It's you letting go of tethering them to you and you letting go of the negative feelings towards them. When you let go of an underlying negative emotion you've been holding on to, it's like pulling a weed out by its roots and going to the source of what's wreaking havoc on your inner peace. The beauty of having seniority over your emotions is that your life changes from a person who is a victim to being a person who is a conscious creator, at one with the natural flow of life, flowing downstream instead of fighting upstream. And all the offshoots of that river of non-resistance flow into all the areas of your life. Even the act of letting go of something super small and seemingly trivial, if done consistently, can be life-changing. Let's do a little experiment. I want you to think about the last thing you ate. Now think about the last time you exercised. Now I want you to think about the last time you felt embarrassed. And now think about the last time someone annoyed you. Now I want you to notice that with each thought and feeling, there was a mental image you created when you thought or felt the things I mentioned. Our associative mind puts everything into categories, which you can think of as emotional buckets. Chocolate is good, fire is bad, public speaking is scary, etc. And all the thoughts we have about everything are essentially attached to feelings and put into their appropriate bucket. Depending on how highly charged our feelings are, those feeling buckets can potentially hold thousands of thoughts. Each picture we see in our mind is simply a representation of layers and layers of thoughts and feelings. There are several things to note about these pictures. When you release a feeling, you are releasing all the thousands of thoughts associated with that particular feeling. You are not the picture. What you see in your mind is just a picture. You are the one witnessing the picture. Thoughts and feelings are energetic forms, which means you can let go of them anytime you decide to do so. You can let go of a picture, and when you do, you give yourself the choice to stop being the victim. You can stop identifying with the pictures. You live in your true nature when you stop identifying with the things that aren't you. Any limiting emotion, fear, guilt, anger, anxiety, is not you. When you get in touch with your true self, you realize that you are part of all that is. There is nothing small about you, and so any limiting thoughts or feelings you have must be illusory. It's so important to become the witness of your emotions because you'll never be able to let go of something that has become part of your identity. In other words, if you think something is you, then you'll have a hard time letting go of it. It would be like instead of dropping something out of your hand, trying to get rid of your own hand. Letting go. The process of letting go is so simple and so effortless that it might make you question whether or not it will actually work. But I promise you it will. I have firsthand experience of its efficacy, and there are many spiritual teachers that focus on this process to reach self-realization. One major caveat I need to mention before we get into the process is that it must be done without effort. The energy of resistance is the energy that blocks us from letting go. If you find that you're having a hard time letting go of a troubling emotion, then focus on letting go of this process. Surrender to the feeling of not wanting to let go, or whatever fear might be coming up about the fact that you're even having the negative emotion in the first place. I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig and show you what I go through when I practice this on myself. I'm going to recall a past event that happened to me to conjure up the negative emotion. I can remember this one time pushing my special needs daughter in her stroller into a public elevator right after one of her doctor's appointments. And when I got into the elevator, there were a group of teenage boys inside. My daughter started making some squeaky noises with her mouth like this. And the boys just thought that was hilarious. And they all started snickering at her and trying to contain their laughter. And I became very protective of her and felt a lot of anger. Okay, so it's best to practice letting go as soon as the emotion comes up. But if you're in a setting that doesn't allow for that, then simply wait until you can sit alone for several minutes. The pressure inside of you from holding on to a particular negative feeling is what's actually causing the feeling to come up. And the outer circumstance is just an excuse for you to release that feeling. This is in alignment with the belief that everything you see outside of you is just a reflection of what's happening inside of you. It's like a tea kettle that needs to release some steam. The energy inside you can only take so much pressure before it begins to whistle. So the first thing you want to do is feel the emotion again. And the best way to do this is by becoming aware of the picture that you're having in your mind that the emotion is contained in. In my case, the elevator with several teenage boys laughing at my daughter. This is where you really want to use your awareness to witness everything. As I'm feeling this feeling, I'm not trying to do anything about it. I'm not trying to let it go so I can get rid of it. I'm not trying to figure out why I'm having this feeling. I'm just trying to be here with it, just feeling it in my body, letting it do its thing, simply noticing where it's being felt in my body. In this case, I feel the anger here in my throat. Okay, so it's really important to mention you do not want to analyze yourself during this process. Just continue to notice the feeling and allow the energy of the feeling to come out. Your ego is going to try to intellectualize this process by thinking about it. Ignore your ego. Become the witness. Letting go of feelings doesn't require thinking. It requires awareness and certainty that you are fully allowing yourself to just be, fully be with the emotion without judgment. It's just a picture in my mind that I decided to hold on to. Okay, so now I can feel the energy. And now that I sat with it, I can feel that it's lighter and that I've let go. It doesn't have as much of a hold on me anymore. If the emotion comes back, repeat the process. There are just more pictures that you need to let go of. Be gentle with yourself as you practice this. You've had a lifetime of pictures that you've collected and held on to for the course of your entire life. So the same emotion, if it comes up, just watch it, let it be, and remind yourself that it's just a picture. You will feel lighter and freer the more you practice this, and soon you will be able to have seniority over your emotions and stay in a place of neutrality. Neutrality doesn't mean that you don't feel things anymore, but rather that you remain in a state of equanimity. This is what was meant when Jesus said, you can be in the world, but not of it. The more you do this, the more you are getting in touch with your true nature, which is your natural state of being. That's why this process feels so effortless. Your thoughts or your emotions or any of the experiences that you're having are not the real you. You are the silent watcher, the pure, unadulterated consciousness. That is you. I love you all so much. I hope you have a beautiful week. Until next time, remember to let go. Let go of trying to be anything other than the truth of what you are.